Heading into the 2019 NBA Draft, most of the attention was centered on Duke and its trio of talented prospects, and more specifically on Zion Williamson, arguably the most hyped prospect since LeBron James. However, there was also a talented point guard from a mid-major school ready to burst into the top three. His name was Ja Morant. Unlike Williamson, he was ignored by most recruiting services and had to make a name for himself the hard way. And so he did. After his sophomore year, he had turned into one of the best prospects in the country and a consensus top 3 pick in his draft class. But the best was still to come. After being selected by the Memphis Grizzlies, he immediately displayed the talent to become a future star in the league. But most importantly, he showed the leadership required to take his new team out from the bottom of the standings and help them become a playoff contender. But how is it that he went from unranked prospect to franchise player? How did he become second only to Zion in his class? And what differentiates him from other point guards? Let's take a look into it. Like many other NBA players, basketball became part of Morant's life from an early age. Both his parents played during high school, and his father even considered playing professionally before his mother became pregnant with him. So as soon as Ja was old enough to start dribbling a basketball, his father started to train him in the backyard of their house. He usually played against older competition, and as he kept growing, he started playing in the AAU circuit, where he would become teammates with Williamson for a season. He attended Crestwood High School, and even though he wasn't capable of dunking until his senior year, he quickly became one of the best players in his school's history. By the time he graduated, he was Crestwood's all-time leading scorer, a 3-time All-Region Most Valuable Player, and received All-Star honors twice. He also averaged 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists during his senior season. But despite his achievements in high level of play, he received little attention from Division I programs. The only high major school that made him an offer was South Carolina, but it wasn't until he met James Cain that he decided where to go. Cain was the assistant coach of Murray State at the time, and he was watching a different recruit play during an event in South Carolina. After a while, he decided to go for a snack, and on his way there, he noticed Morant playing in an auxiliary gym. After watching the point guard for a few minutes, Cain was surprised by his talent and decided to contact Murray State's head coach, Matt McMahon, to let him know about his discovery. Quickly, McMahon offered Morant a scholarship, and just a few months later, the point guard committed to playing for his team. But of course, making it to college was not enough to prove he was worthy of an NBA attention. He had to play his way into the league, and the process took some time. During his freshman year, he put decent numbers on almost all categories and was named to the All-OVC first team. He also helped his team make the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2012. But it was evident he still had more work to do before declaring for the draft, so he came back for another season and finally proved what he was capable of doing. With an extended role, Morant's production took a huge leap. He almost doubled his scoring average while also making improvements on almost all areas of his games. By the end of the season, he was NCAA's assisting leader and had broken multiple schools and OVC's records. He was named OVC Player of the Year, first-team All-American, and also became the first player in NCAA history to average at least 20 points and 10 assists during an entire season. His talent, versatility, and the way he helped his team exceed expectations helped him earn the attention of the basketball world. And once everything was said and done, there were no doubts he would be picked in the top 3, along with his longtime friend, Zion. The only question remaining was where he would start his pro career. At first, Cleveland, Phoenix, and Chicago looked like potential destinations for him, but the lottery changed everything up. At the time, Memphis was projected to receive the 8th pick in the draft thanks to its record in the previous season, and fans were nervous about the possibility of falling lower than that. If their pick fell outside of the top 8, they would have owed it to Boston in virtue of a previous trade, but as it turns out, they would come out of the lottery as one of the biggest winners. The ping pong balls awarded them the 2nd pick in the draft, and suddenly, the future started to look a lot more promising. By the time the draft ceremony came around, it only made sense for them to select Ja. He was the evident choice. After all, they already had Jaren Jackson Jr. on board, and the idea of putting together a duo that could turn into the next Conley and Gasol was just too good to pass up. So when it was their turn, the team selected Morant as their point guard of the future, and immediately, fans in Memphis started to dream about the future. However, not even the most optimistic follower of the Grizzlies could have predicted what was about to come. Just 3 games into his rookie season, Morant had the first signature moment of his professional career. In a tight game against the Brooklyn Nets, he did a little bit of everything, and then some, to guarantee his first win as an NBA player. He finished the game an assist shy of a double-double, and 17 of his team-high 30 points came in the fourth quarter. But it was the way he handled himself in the clutch that really took all of the attention. In the closing moments of the fourth quarter, he made a layup to tie the score at 120. Moments later, he locked down Kyrie Irving on the other end of the floor and blocked what could have been the game winner. Then, on the final possession of overtime, he set up a Jay Crowder 3 that put his team ahead as time expired. Standing-wise, the game didn't have a special meaning. was only the first win in what was otherwise a slow start for the Grizzlies, but the way Morant held himself against elite opposition served as proof that the team had been right about drafting him with the second pick. And as it turns out, was also a sign of the things that were about to come. As the season progressed, Ja kept impressing everyone with his overall production. His ability to read the floor slowly started to make things easier for his team, and while his shooting was still a work in progress, his creativity and athleticism always helped him find multiple ways to score. However, the most impressive thing about him was his leadership. Before the start of the season, the Grizzlies were expected to finish near the bottom of the Western Conference once again, and for the first couple of months, it looked like that was going to be the case. But things started to change by January. As the young Grizzlies started to learn each other's tendencies and develop some chemistry, their play began to improve. Before anyone could notice, they were suddenly the 8th spot in the West. In most circumstances, such a rise takes place because someone elevates his play and starts to perform like a star on a daily basis. However, that wasn't the case in Memphis. Most of their players kept posting similar numbers to their season averages. There was no star to be found, but there was a simple yet meaningful difference. They started to learn how to win games. After a few months, they became used to Coach Jenkins' system, and with Morant leading the way on the floor, they found the balance they needed to win games more often. Of course, things became more difficult inside the bubble. Injuries and their lack of experience cost them a playoff appearance, but the fact they were so close to returning to the playoffs was already reason enough to declare the season as a success. Thanks to his effort and excellent play, Ja was named Rookie of the Year. However, he immediately shifted his focus to getting better for the next season. When he learned he fell a vote shy of a unanimous selection, he thanked the person who didn't vote for him and promised to use that as motivation. And to no one's surprise, he's delivered on that promise so far. His numbers are still not on an all-star level, but he's taken small steps in the right direction. He started his second season by posting a career-high 44 points and has continued performing as the best player on his team. Once again, his play and leadership are among the biggest reasons why the Grizzlies are currently in a position to participate in the play-in despite the improvements that rival teams in the Western Conference have made. And the best part is he should only keep getting better. So far, he's been able to put up excellent numbers despite lacking a reliable jumper. But once he's capable to start making threes at a higher rate, he could turn into one of the best point guards in the league. His game has already developed to the point where he can go through defenses with his dribbling, passing, and finishing ability. His creativity is also one of the main reasons why he's capable of making plays for himself and his teammates with ease. And his physical attributes often allow him to outrun opponents and finish through contact. But he doesn't depend on his athleticism to be efficient. Instead, he's capable of manipulating the defense to make it go where he wants. That's something few players are capable of doing. But despite being only 21, Morant is already part of that list. Now, he only needs to refine his game. With a few more years of experience, he should be able to shoot and defend at a higher level, and once he reaches that point, Memphis may be ready to start making some noise in the playoffs. Altogether, we can say that Morant's story is an inspiring one. He started from the bottom and even needed a little bit of luck to show what he was capable of doing. But once he received an opportunity, he never looked back. Now he's the cornerstone of a young team that's already a few years ahead of the curve. He still needs to keep working on his game to become a better player, but there's no doubt he has what it takes to become someone special in the NBA. But now, do you believe Morant will be capable of taking the Grizzlies to the playoffs this season? Or does he still need a few more years of experience? Let us know in the comments. We hope you've enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to like it and subscribe to our channel for more NBA content. We are Courtside.